it's Debbie with the Pickin Coop Farmstead, and I don't have my phone on a tripod, so bear with me. So I almost forgot to start filming this. Today is Sunday, and I'm going to attempt to make homemade ketchup. I'll probably have to use a recipe or combine several recipes, but for right now, I wanted to show you how I'm starting out. I have all these tomatoes from last season in gallon bags, so they are definitely, I put 4 gallons in my roaster, so let me show you what that looks like. So here we go. I put 4 gallons. It's kind of heaped. Let me kind of show you like that, but they will cook down, and you want to cook them slow and low. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it about 150 to maybe 200 degrees. Maybe I'll go right in the middle of that. And I am using a 16-quart roaster oven by Rival. And I don't go buy these brand new. My mom bought me one for Christmas one year, a long time ago. And then I found this great big one at, I don't know if it was Salvation Army or the other big thrift store. I always forget the name of that thing. Goodwill. And it was only like 16 bucks, and it's like a $60 roaster, and it's worked famously. I render down my lard, or not lard, but tallow and all that stuff in it. It's wonderful. I cooked a prime rib in it a week ago today, actually. So anywho, I'm going to start by cooking these down, and I think you have to cook them like all day long. Initially, I was kind of skeptical about putting them in my roaster because everybody says that the acid from the tomatoes will take off your coating on this pan. And to use, you can buy those big plastic liners to put in there. And I'm like, no, I don't want the plastic. So I'm just going to go ahead with this enamel and hope it doesn't wear the enamel off of my little pan here. So we're just going to let this cook low and slow. I might turn it up if need be, or I might turn it down. And like I said, this is 4 gallons in a 16-quart roaster. So follow along and let's see how we do with our very first batch of ketchup. And we're back. I forgot to do all my other steps. I did show you all my frozen tomatoes in my roaster. Well, what I did is I had on low and slow, and all the water and juice, most of the juice out of the tomatoes came out, and then I used my little slotted spoon thing. I dipped all the tomatoes out. I blended it up with my stick blender, and I cooked it on low and slow until it gets thicker and thicker and thicker to where you want it. I did use Ruthann Zimmerman's recipe. She has a wonderful ketchup recipe, and I followed that recipe to a T. The only thing I did differently is I had some canned tomato paste, just that little skinny can that you can get. And so I'm letting it simmer a little bit more, and she puts hers in a big blender, her tomatoes, before she adds them to the pot. I just use my stick blender, but I'm not going to list all the ingredients because it is her recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and attach her recipe, and then this is all I'm doing really. And once it gets to the thickened desire, and like I said, once it gets thick enough to where you want it to be, then you go ahead and can it. And I think, like what she says 2 different ways that you can can it. You can do open kettle, which is not FDA approved, which I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. They've been doing that for hundreds of years. Or you can water bath it for like 10 to 15 minutes. My next thing though is I'm not sure what size jars to put this in. So I think I will put part of them in a little jelly jar, a little 8 ounce, and then I will put the other part into pints. So it just depends on what you want to do with it, how fast you're going to eat it. I love ketchup on my hot dogs, hamburgers. I make secret sauce with it when I cook French fries. Um, and I use it on my meatloaves and all that kind of stuff. So I think I will probably do half and half. So I'll do the little jelly jars and then I will do the little pints. So that way I'll have two different sizes. And then once I get to that point, I will finish up and show this, but I want to get this a little bit thicker because Ruthann uses clear gel and I don't have any clear gel. So I just added the tomato paste. And then you just, like I say, you just cook it to where you want it thick. You kind of bring it to a little boil and then you load it in your jars and you either open kettle can it, and you can look that up to see how that's done. Super simple, straightforward. Or you can water bath, especially in the summertime like it is now. I would think that open kettle would be way better and it won't heat up your kitchen. So anywho, we'll be back for the next step. Stay tuned. All right, guys, I have finished the recipe as Ruthann instructed. I'm going to try my first hand at open kettle canning. My sauce is almost to a rolling boil. I want to let it go a few more minutes, but I wanted to show you what I have in preparation. I've got my jars that are clean in my oven. I like to do 250. I put them in before I turn it on so they can gradually heat up. And I do it for 10 minutes so they're clean and sterile and hot. I have hot water in with my lid. She said you have to have hot lids, which I have. I just put hot tap water because our tap water is really, really hot. I've got a nice ladle, nice and clean. I have two size jars, small and wide mouth. I have the 4 jars funnels. And then I have a towel that I put everything on because I like to I put everything on a stoneware baking sheet when I sterilize my jars. Then I have small and large mouth rings. You have to put these on tight. And I even have a little bit of vinegar and a clean wash rag to wipe the rims off to make sure I don't have anything on my ribs to inhibit my seal. All right, I turned off my burner. I've got my ketchup at a rolling boil. I am going to fill the jars next to me first. So I've got smallmouth, smallmouth, or people call it regular mouth. I'm going to give it about 1-inch headspace. Doesn't really say on the instructions, but I'm just kind of guessing. Get this all going. I'm super excited about this. I let the hubby taste it, so it's hubby approved. Now I know before you guys say, oh, you can buy organic ketchup really cheap, blah blah blah, but if you have a surplus of frozen tomatoes, what the heck, why not? I can't grab that jar, darn it. I'll go over here. There we are. All right, so I am going to put a little vinegar on this. Wipe the rims while everything is hot. And then I'm going to, oh, that water's still pretty hot there. Put my lids on. And I use 4-jar lids. These guys have never failed me. The only time I've had a failed lid from them, ooh, hot, 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 is due to operator error. So I highly recommend using those. And Ruthann has a code that you can use. I think it's Ruthann 10 or something. You'll have to go look it up. She's a big sponsor of these guys. So this is all there is to it. So when I get this done, I'll be back. Alright, so I did want to show you, I do want to crank these down tight as she suggested, but I have to hang on to the jar with a hot pad. So I'm cranking these down. And this is the open kettle method, something new to me. This is not FDA approved. My kitchen, my rules. I'm super excited about this, especially, like I said, since it's summertime and it gets dang hot in my kitchen because we live up in the mountains and we do not have central air. So my kitchen is super, super hot. All right, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and fill the pints. I did the little ones first because I didn't know how many it was going to fill. And like I said, I have enough to make one more batch of this in my freezer. I'm trying to empty out our overflow freezer so that will be less electricity that's used up. And hopefully hubby's going to be going hunting in the next couple of months, and hopefully they got an elk tag, and I am praying and hoping that he gets an elk. I'm super excited about that. I've had elk meat and I absolutely love it. So if you've never seen an elk up close in person, those guys are ginormous and you get a lot of meat off of that. So I'm super, super excited. I hope I'm not jinxing him about that. Then that way our little freezer will be ready to fill up. We've eaten enough of our steer, our beef, to probably transfer the rest of that meat over into our big freezer. And we like the upright freezers just because you're not bent over digging through all of that. All right, this is our last jar. We still have quite a bit left over, so I think what I'll do is I'll put some in the fridge and maybe some in the freezer. So I'm going to go ahead and clean the rims, put the lids on, and tighten the rings down. All right, so there we have it. Let me scoot you guys over. So we ended up getting 8 half pints, 6 pints. I probably could have gotten 7 out of that. I picked them all up again and gave them another crank down because they're supposed to be tight. And I've seen other videos where people put a towel over the top, I guess to hold the heat in. Ruthann doesn't say to do that, but I'm just going to do that just because it's the first time I've ever tried this method. All right, you guys, say a little prayer for me. Let's make sure this goes, and I'm going to do something with my leftovers here. All right, I'll show a picture after they have sealed, hopefully. So I'm not going to really check them until tomorrow. I want them to go like a full overnight type thing. Alrighty, so I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay, it's the next day and take two because I forgot to turn my microphone on. I'm just doing it without the microphone. So here we have our homemade ketchup. It did lose a little bit of volume from the vacuum seal, but that's okay. I am going to show you how to check your seals. So let's go down here. All right, so you're going to take your rings off. Push down in the middle. If there's no give, nothing, which there is not, that is a good sign of a seal. I try lifting the lids and I shake these around. I'm going to go ahead and do one of the bigger ones. Take your ring off. There's no give. Try to take that lid off. There you go. And then just keep an eye on these over the next week or two just to make sure that nothing comes unsealed. But there you have it. Then I wash these with hot soapy water, rinse them, let them dry, mark what they are, the date that you made them, and 4 jars has a lovely little spot for your date right here. And boom, you have ketchup. So I'm going to go ahead and attach Ruthann's video for her ketchup making so you guys can go try her recipe out. Great instructions, and she has a printable version on there that you can print out, and that's what I have done. So anyways, I hope you enjoy it. This stuff is delicious. Like I said, it meets the Mister's taste test approval. It's delicious. I can't wait to try it in any recipes, secret sauce for my fries, meatloaf, all that good stuff. I am one of those people that likes mayonnaise and ketchup on my hamburgers and hot dogs. Sometimes I'll have mustard on my hot dogs, but not very often. So this is going to be a very welcome addition to our pantry. All right, I hope the sun is shining where you are. I hope you're happy, healthy, safe. Thank you so much for watching, subscribing, sharing, and commenting. And God bless you all, and happy canning. Until next time, bye-bye.